Hello everyone, this is Premacharya from Dented Code. Welcome back to HTML course for absolute beginner part 4. In previous tutorial, we created list and table to organize the data. And in this video, we are going to work on form and inputs. So there are many variations of inputs. So I'm going to show you how we can use those inputs to create a form. And this video going to be a little longer than other videos, guys. Just want to let you know upfront so that you can understand everything about the HTML and all the input types. Okay, so start with, I don't want to continue here because we are already 102 lines of the code in this index page. So I'm thinking instead of continuing here to create our form and inputs, maybe how about we create new page. If you are following along with me and if you saw this readme.md file, don't worry guys about that, because I just created this file to create this whole project into the Git repo, which I'll provide in the description below, so that you guys can reference all the code here you have learned in case if you need to refresh or recheck yourself. Okay, let's create the new page called form.html, and we'll be working all the form inside this form.html. And let's run it first. Okay, let's close the other pages here. So first thing first, we always have to create the boilerplate for the page. We always need this page in order for us to run the web page. Okay, so okay, just change the title to ML input variation and form. Okay, let's make a form here. Comment out. Oops. To create the form, we need to use specific element form. The form, okay, the snippet created action attribute. Form has few attributes. Action and method are the basic attribute that form needs in order to submit the form to server side. So the action says where you want to send the form. Let's say you want to somewhere in, let's say some server. Okay, this is the URL to the server where the form is processing. And the method means, the method is basically okay, method equals to send form is post request or get request. Okay, I'll explain this more in the later in this video, but for now just remember, either you will have a post here or get. Okay, this is the basic attribute you need for this form element. This one, let's run this page from the right clicking on the page and open with the live server. Okay, there is nothing inside the body tag, inside the element yet, that's why nothing showing here. So we need two things. We need form, of course. Okay, since we are working on form, we need the input field. So input is an element where you can provide text or any data you want to input. When you save it, see, this is the input where you can type your input value, and you need button to submit. Always you need button to submit. So you also put input for the button, but see the type here text means it will give us the text box where you can type the text. But if you want to make it button, you type submit. Submit means that it's the submitting, this form is submittable by clicking this button. This submit button comes normally at the end of the list of the input. if you have multiple form, and if you want to fill up all the form and you just want to submit to the URL here, I'll just put as here. That means it doesn't go anywhere else, okay, and stay on the same page. If I submit this form, that means the form will understand that all this information will be sent to this URL, and once you receive this data in the server side, you'll process this data, do validation, and then process whatever you have to do with that. Okay, so now this is how you create the form. You need the definitely form tag, an action where you want to send the form to, and the method, which method you want to use. These are the basic attributes we need, and we need input value, what input you want to grab from the user and submit to the server side. Okay, you can also change this name here, submit. You can change that name by providing value equals to send, for example. It will change to send, and see how ugly it is looking, guys. So again, this is the series for HTML only. For CSS, I'll create another series of course after the HTML. Okay, after the HTML course. Okay, let's organize little bit here. Okay, before that, so what's this for? For example, we can give label, use label to give the name for that input. Say, let's say, put your name. If you do that, see, you provide name here, and you provide, maybe I'll just copy and paste for name, email. It's going like this, guys. So this is not really I mean, of course, we are not using CSS, so it's not gonna look nice, but we can organize this one. We can group them by using div container. Just use div, and every div we will tell what is the label and what is the input for that label. So this way, so we binding the label and input field. So this for is basically you are telling browser this name is for this element. To make that work, we need to provide ID for this element. So ID, you provide, maybe just give name and use that same name in the for value. So that means you're telling browser now the for attribute means this name, this label is here for this input field. Okay, so save. And remember one thing, that guys, that if you are using ID, make sure you are using one ID value per page. Okay, the ID must be unique for each individual element if you are using ID. Anyway, so let's now let's look into almost okay, now let's look all the other input type and see what they are used for. Okay, I'll just leave the comment here as well so that you guys know what we're making here. So input type text. So here this is text. Now if you don't provide the type in input, this one will create text by default. So I'll just leave input here for your reference. Okay, now let's again okay, I'll just copy paste so that it's faster for us. Okay, let's copy paste this one. Okay, this is the type text. The another one is number. Number means you can only put so actually I will not do this for this from here. I just showed you what is it for, but we don't need it. Okay, just keep it simple. So this one, let's say you want to grab the phone number from user, so you need the type of number. That means user cannot put any text here. See here, it is even browser giving the increase and decrease sign here. You can just put number by increasing and decreasing here, or you can just type anything. You can only put the here number, but you cannot type any other text here because this is just a number. And okay, this is just touching each other here. I don't like it. So what we do here, so maybe I'll just add little style here so that they don't touch each other. So again guys, this is not CSS tutorial which we will be creating in the future, but here I'll just show you how to write CSS quickly. But again, this is not CSS tutorial. So you can write CSS inside the head. This is called embedded style. That's it. So first type style, and inside there you can target which element you want to write CSS for. And what I want is, I want margin bottom, give a 10 pixel for now and save it. So this is called embedded style sheet. So now you can see it's keeping this space just to make look nice, little bit for now. So we will go more depth in CSS in the future tutorial. Okay, now what we working on? Okay, name done. Okay, text type done, number type done. Okay, so this is another one we need to know is password. Password type. Password, guys, I'm just okay, type password when you save it. Now if you type here, now see this is dotted here, the password sign is not visible when you're typing. So this is how you provide password type. And you can also provide, let's say, type password. Okay, that's next. Let's say if you want to get the a user, let's say profile, let's say Facebook profile, you can ask them to put the URL for the first Facebook and provide the path of the Facebook is URL. So if you put type URL, you can put anything here and submit the form, but it will not take it. It will say please provide the URL. So it is kind of validation for your input, but guys, don't use this. Browser default validation is your safety net. We always need to filter the data on server side. We always need to verify the data in our server side, but this is for users so that they don't get confused. So if they put any random value, it will not work. It's saying please enter the URL, but let's say if you copy the URL and provide the URL, it works because it checks your prototype and then the domain and then the extension. So based on that one, now you can submit the form. Okay, type date. Okay, here it will allow us to select the date from the pop-up window. Now you don't have to like type manually. See, and it looks nice too. So this is like a browser native. It looks different on every different browser. Okay, and let's make it the, and then next is, let's see the text area. Sometimes we need to get masses. Let's create the text area. So type text area. Text area is little different. Here you see all these single inputs, they don't have a closing element here, like so. Here if you don't see closing element like this, like this, that means this is allowed in HTML5. Before HTML5 you are not allowed to do that, but with the HTML5 browser will understand this one is input as a complete element. Okay, now but with the text area we need to close it as well. So text area is the type text area, and you don't need anything else. Select area. Yeah, okay, text area. Here you can see a little sign. You can just resize the text area, and you can also provide default size for the text area with the help of the attribute rows. Let's say I want only 5 row and calls. Maybe I want 30 columns. So save that. So now by default this one comes. Of course you can resize, but when you refresh the page, by default this is what it's gonna looks like. Title message. Okay, next we will look at the radio button. The radio button, let's say for the radio button, let's say we want to know the gender of the user, not gender of the user. So let's get the input. Okay, this is move to input type, let's do radio, and the don't worry about the ID. Okay, let's create 2. Okay, 2 values for that. Okay, so gender. Okay, see, you can click 2. Okay, first give the level so that easy to see. And email here. So now you can see male and female, so you can select both, so that's not right. So to make it selected, to make it only one selectable, we need to give them name with gender here. You can provide whatever name you want. Okay, I want to give gender here, which sounds meaningful. But if you provide exactly same name, regardless how many number of the radio button input field you have created, you can only select one now. So if you select another one will be deselected. Okay, that's the radio input. The next one, let's look into the attachment. You know how you have seen in the website how you can attach photo or resume or some images or some other documents? That's called file type. So this is file, so here we only need one. Let's say attachment, put the type file, and we don't name. Just okay, I want to explain this name thing later on. Okay guys, just hold on. See, now you can see attachment. Oops, where this female coming. Okay, see the attachment, choose file, no file chosen. So when you click on this one, it will open up the dialog box here, and you can choose the photo, and then it will say, okay, this file has been selected. Okay, this is how you make the file attach input field. And here I just want to, since we are in the file, I just want to tell you like the one more thing. So the attribute called accept will the accept attribute will tell let user what sort of file they can attach. You can, for example, you can attach image only, and inside the image what, like if you put star, you can do all types of email. Okay, you can provide what user can attach or not. So for example, now if you click here, you can only see images here. Let's say if I do application here, save it and check, see this is trying to open the application files only. But if I change back to image only, it will show the image only. From here, of course, you can do all the other different types of file as well, but Okay, this is not the safety net, guys, or any validation. This is just for user to not to get confused. Okay, let's do email now. Okay, copy, create now email. You can specify you only allow to type email here by saying email and type, of course, email. Email doesn't have a set attribute, we don't need that. And here, if you try to put something and send it, it will tell you please include @ sign in the email address. So it's kind of doing validation for the email, so that user know that what they have to put. So we got the email. Now next, checkbox. Okay, let's now create the checkbox. Like how you have seen checkbox, you may have, like, whenever you create the form, you always see like a checkbox to accept the term and condition box. Okay, now how you have seen like this. I'll just change the order. So now you can like select and deselect this one. Now let's create the slider, which is also called range. Put the type range and change the order. So let's say you have some budget to spend. So how much budget would you like to spend? And the save it. Oops, the spelling wrong. Now see this slider. You can also provide in this slider what is the minimum value. Min value may be 1 and the max value may be 100, and the default you always want to provide default value when you press load is 50, so it's in the middle. This min and max also applies to the date, and the number. Okay, these are the attributes can be used on those elements as well. Okay, let's create the select. Select is where you have a multiple options to select from. You probably have already come across with select when you're filling up form. So for that, let's copy this, and there let's say we're just going to say, maybe let's say we will write select your favorite subjects, or actually subject, and here we don't use input, rather we will have select element itself, and here inside the select we need options. So what are the options available to select from? So let's say we just say here select and make another option. Maybe let's make 3 more option, and if you want to make with the shortcut, you can write option and multiply by how many and hit enter. It will create that many. So we'll get back to values later. Okay, maybe math, science, and let's say history. Now save it. Okay, here select, hang on, I just want it to be in the let's get this footer so that the content is not all the way at the bottom. Okay, that's good. Okay, here select subject. This is the select. This is how it looks. When you select it, you can select, like, you want to select math or science or any option you like. So now by default it's a single select table, So if you want to make it a multiple selection, you can simply provide the multiple attribute. That's a single attribute without value. In the select tag, just say multiple and save it. It has changes from single to multi-line, and now you can select by like a dragging multi-option, or you can select with the control or shift. Okay, so that's the select. And that is similar to select. We can use actually with the select, if you want to make, let's say, different section inside the select, you can use something called opt group. Let me show you quickly. Let's create the another select with opt group. So we have level, select this, and we have select, and inside we need option. So remember how we put option before here? Now we can group them by using opt group, and you label them what you want it to be displayed. Let's say we are talking about the food, so let's give it a label of, maybe let's do Italian food. Italian, right? And inside the opt group, again, we definitely need the option. Let's put maybe 2. Okay. What do we want to put here? Maybe, oops, not OPT option. So the first option, maybe let's give it to margarita pizza, and second option spaghetti. Okay, so this is like opt group as an Italian, and let's copy it again and give another group of the food Mexican, and instead of margarita pizza, maybe how about the chicken taco or tomato salsa. Now when you save here, now you see, you can see the highlighted Italian and the Mexican. Now you cannot select this option, this title, let's say. So this is called opt group, which is grouping the actual value. So let's say choose a dish, which one you want to choose, one Italian or Mexican, and then you can choose which one you want. So this is another way you can group the drop down value. Okay, now I want to show you data list, which is similar to drop down list select, but the purpose is a little bit different. Let me grab this thing here. I want this one to add list here. Okay, let's create the data list. Okay, data list is similar to drop down, but you can choose the value from drop down list and populate in the input field. So we need to create the input field. We need label, let's say car, and we say, let's say choose the car. There's a car, and provide the input for this, type text, and leave the other value just empty for now. But car, provide the ID car, because the 4 is for ID. The name, this is one must-have attribute in the input field. I want to discuss this one later. Okay, just leave for now. And type is text, and then give this one the list. Create the list called car or cars. And if you save just like this, you have the input only. Okay, normal input. But inside here, if you create data list, with the ID equals to cars, which is similar to this one, and inside provide the options now. Okay, inside here create options, 3 of them. Okay, 3 options, but we don't need the closing tag. Okay, just remove that one. But in value, provide what value you want to select from. Maybe let's go for nice car brands. I like Lamborghini, Ferrari, and who don't like Bugatti, right? Well, that's the dream. Haha. Okay, now what happens is here, see, it's now when I hover over, it's showing drop down. When you click here, it will give you the option. If you search something it does not have here, and it will just try to remember what your search is, but this is nothing to do. The value we provided here is Lamborghini, Ferrari, and Bugatti. So when you choose them, now it will populate in the input field in here. Like in drop down, when you select as an option here, and every option has a value. So if you select math here, so the value you must have value. If you have drop down field, you must have value. Okay, so this one inside the element tags is for us to see here, but what you select and submit will go from value only. You can put anything here that is associated to this number. Let's say if you have some user, you're putting username here and user ID. When you submit the form, user ID will go. Okay, the value is must in drop down. But here instead we select from the list and populate here in this one. Okay, so that's the different. Now when you select it, it will set. And if you want to select another one, you have to delete and again. But this one is like does not support in all browser. Okay, I think that is it all for the form and input types. I think we cover quite a lot here. If you can see, these are the most of them that you're going to use in your in the production level. These are the most. Of course you're going to tweak them and then elaborate them or change them quite a lot here, but these are the fundamental. So let's quickly go over what we did here. For the form, the thing we need at least is that action where the form to be submitted, and the method, whether you want to send post or get method, which we discuss a little bit more later on. And after that, inside we need inputs and the submit button. So in inputs we just give them the label, and we use div to organize a little bit better. And the input must have one more attribute called name. Okay, the name attribute is important. So name will represent what what is the data you are sending from this form. Let's say you probably want to give the same. You want, let's say, username, and make sure the name attribute value doesn't have any space, not allowed. You can use hyphen or underscore, but not the space. So what is name is for? So when you submit the form, let's say you put here Jack name, but when you submit the form, you need to tell browser put this Jack value in this name key username and send to the server, which we can quickly check here. Let me do, if I submit the form like this, let me show you. If I send this, okay, I just put Jack here. If I send this form, see here, username is like a variable and the value is Jack. You can put anything. Let's say, see here, username is a variable and this is the value, you just input it there. But if you don't provide the name, it cannot be sent. When you put something, when you send it, see, there is nothing. the name attribute is important for input, for us to tell browser, okay, this is the name, key and value, and submit to the whatever we want to submit here. Okay, and there is another one, another attribute I want to talk about is required. Required means that whenever you submit the form, make sure this field has some value, make sure user has input some value. If you just try to submit here now, it will say please fill it in this form. So that means you cannot submit the form unless the field is filled, because it is required. Now if we do this, send it, the value has been sent here. Oops. Okay, let's provide the name as well. And now again, when you try to send it, doesn't allow, so put the name and send. So now it's sent. You can see here username, the STF. Okay, and there is another one I want to say is the okay, let's do here. Another one is called disable. If you make it disable, that means you cannot write here. You can type here, but you cannot. So you cannot even click. See, it is just showing in like a shaded color a little bit. So disable post. So if in case you have some information to show in the form, but that information is static and cannot be changed, this is how you do it, so that user cannot change this. User cannot change any value from this input field. And if you, let's say, if you want to hide this field, the input field completely, you can change from disable to, let's create another one here. Let's copy this one. See, now we have like 1 and 2. If you, let's say, want to hide this, let's say if you have some sort of form token that's supposed to be sent with the form to, let's say, authenticate to authorize that form to be submitted, you want some code, but you don't want user to see that. That's secret, so you can put that like by just making this one invisible. To do that, just say hide here, hidden. When you provide hidden, this one will be hidden. Okay, so you can still put the value here, name. When you submit the let's say put value is okay, but when you submit the form, it will still submit this value, okay, this input field. I can show you that by send, and oops, a value coming. Let me see why. A value coming. Oh, okay, maybe the type is number. Let's make it text, save it. First, let's see. See, this is the okay predefined value. Let's say you got some token and you don't want customer to see, so you provide hidden attribute, save it, they cannot see, but when they submit the form, the form will be submitted. Okay, let's write down submit like this. Yeah, we need this one. See here, hidden token, and this is the value we given. So if you see here ampersand sign, and this is how it separates all the values. So whatever we have input here with the name equals to value, and it will provide ampersand sign to list all of them here. So if we got like a username, it will give value and then password and then email and so on and so on. This is only happens because we are using get method. If we are using post method means the send the form but not as a URL. Okay, so when you send the form as a post, that means the value, the browser cannot access the value. Okay, URL does not have a value. Like here, you can again try submitting the form. Let's remove this one so that clear. Okay, now put name and send it. Form is send it, but we didn't have the correct URL, like a server side URL to send, so of course there's gonna be error. but see, there is no value here. This is for security reason. That's basically you will be using on most of the form and the input form or the registration form. But why we have two different form then? So sometimes what happens if you do some sort of like a search in the e-commerce site, sometimes let's say you have like a product name called you want laptop, and then that will give you some sort of result here. And if you want same result to be seen by somebody else, you can use this bookmark and send it to them, or you can bookmark here. For those reasons we need get method. Other than that, you always use post method. Okay, so that's about the form, that's about the attribute I want to talk about. I think we pretty much cover about the form. Let me see. Okay, yeah, one more thing I want to tell you. So sometime you might have seen here already written some information, but when you click it goes away to tell you like what to do. You can do that one by providing something called placeholder, and placeholder, and whatever you type here, write your name, it's gonna show you here, but this is not the text or anything here. When you submit the form, this one will not go anywhere. This is just to display here. When you start typing your name, it will disappear. Okay, yeah, I think that is pretty much all you need to know for the form to create really professional form. So guys, just to practice more and more you practice, the more you become better at. So don't stop practicing, and then yes, I will see you in next